In 2006, Hufcor Australia was awarded the tender for movable walls in the redevelopment of the Melbourne Convention Centre at Southbank, beside the Yarra River in Melbourne. From the outset, we worked in closely with construction company Multiplex on what would be our biggest and most challenging project to date in Australia. By far the largest part of the project was a 5,000-seat state-of-the-art auditorium, to be known as the Plenary Hall. The tender called for one pair of movable walls on either side of the auditorium. It would be possible to divide this huge space into 3 separate, isolated, independently operating venues. It would be possible for 3 events to take place concurrently. The size and scope of the project posed many design challenges. The very tall movable wall panels would have to be easy to operate, to glide smoothly and easily into place, to go around corners, and to be stored away when not in use. It was clear that we'd need to use our heavyweight steel carriers to take the weight, and new heavyweight steel tracking supported by a massive truss above the ceiling. Each panel would be guided to its position in the storage bay by a simple guidance system. At 16.35 metres tall, these would be the second tallest movable wall panels in the world, just a few centimetres short of the walls that Hufcor had installed in the Korean Trade Centre in Seoul. Hufcor was able to draw on the manufacturing resources of our parent, Hufcor USA, in Janesville, Wisconsin. They were well experienced with projects of this scale. The panels, heavy-duty tracking and carrier system were shipped to us in Melbourne for further work and finishing. Each panel was made in 2 sections to fit into a 40-foot container, a main top section of 11 metres and a lower section of 5.36 metres. The 2 sections would be joined together on site during installation by bolting the bottom section to the top section. To apply the complex surface materials, we set up a temporary production line here in Melbourne, in a warehouse space in Footscray. The US-made panels were received here. We designed custom trolleys and hydraulic handling equipment to move and position the panels. Unpacked and placed on the line, the panels flowed through a dry heat room where the surface materials were applied. There are 2 parallel rows of 45 panels on each side of the plenary hall. As the surface design on every panel is unique, featuring 3 surface materials in 3 sections, each panel had to be precisely marked up to avoid any misalignment. A mistake here wouldn't be detected until it was too late to do anything about it. With the surface design applied, the panels were moved out of the dry heat room. This is just one top section. Each panel was then trimmed and finished. And thoroughly checked. Before being taken off the line and loaded onto the custom trolleys and added to the installation queue. The completed panels were wrapped in plastic for protection and were stored in line in a precise sequence, awaiting delivery to the site in what would be a well-orchestrated operation. Just one panel out of order and we'd be in trouble. Rectifying a mistake would be a logistical nightmare. Generally, we're called on to make our installation towards the end of construction, when most of the heavy, dirty work has been done. In this case, it was different. The plenary hall would have an underfloor hydraulic seating system. Once that was installed, we wouldn't be able to drive a truck onto the floor. We needed to make our installation before any work on the hydraulic floor began, while there was still construction debris, high traffic activity from other contractors, noise and dust to contend with. Fortunately, our design provided a built-in solution. We would be able to safely stow the panels in the stacking bays, leaving the plastic wrapping on for the time being to protect them. Not everyone shared our confidence that installation would go smoothly. Hanging those heavy 11-metre top sections on a track 18 metres in the air was quite a challenge. Until we demonstrated our heavy lift technique, many onlookers doubted that it could be done at all, let alone as quickly and efficiently as it was done. We used purpose-built hydraulic lifters, certified for 200% lifting capacity. The lifting framer would be attached and the panel taken off the truck, and, still suspended, moved to the staging area. The Manitou then raised the panel and simultaneously rotated it through 90 degrees to be vertical, and taken even higher and moved under the track for attachment. The Manitou operator communicated directly with the two installers working aloft and took instruction from them, as workers on the floor held the panel steady, and the installers working aloft guided the two sets of carrier units through the escape section and onto the track, and then re-secured the escape section. With the top panel section now hanging securely, the installers descended to the lifter and detached it. Now the lower panel was attached to its upper panel partner. This time, the lifter was attached to the smaller panel, and the same process followed to raise and rotate it, positioning it precisely under the upper panel. This was an exacting operation, requiring skill and close cooperation amongst the installation crew. Once aligned, the lower panel was bolted to the top panel using two side brackets. With the bolts tightened, the lifter was detached. The joined panel, now hanging freely, was then moved into its stack bay and stored. The stack bays were designed with a guidance system in the track to direct each panel to its correct place in one of 4 bays. The compact stacking and storage system is a particularly pleasing part of the design for our engineers. It had given Hufcor a winning advantage over our competitor in the tendering process. The installation proceeded smoothly as a steady stream of trucks began arriving to a precise schedule. We worked steadily on with few breaks until all 180 panels had been secured to the track and had been moved into the stack bays for safe storage. The teamwork was outstanding throughout. To complete the installation, the access gaps in the track were closed and our installation was complete, but not our association with the plenary hall. When the construction of the plenary hall was completed, it was time for the panels to emerge into a very different environment. This is how the hall looks in one venue mode, with both sets of movable wall panels stored in the stack bays. Things had certainly changed since installation. Hufcor had now moved from installation into a long-term maintenance contract. A team of 4 Hufcor personnel are employed on the site to set up and dismantle the movable walls as required, and to maintain the 2 sets of double movable walls. We were all happy to see the panels emerge one by one into the completed hall for the first time, with everything looking as we expected it to, and working as planned. The huge volume of column-free space inside the plenary hall, and the extreme height of the ceiling, and the height of the panels themselves was very apparent now. Usually, on the day before an event requiring the double movable walls to be in place, panels are taken one by one in turn out of the storage bays and moved manually along the track.
Set up for double walls, just 2 of the walls can take anything between 1.5 to 2 hours. Usually use about a 4-man crew to set up the walls. With the design process and the weight of the walls, we've had to have about a 50mm camber placed in the tracks, so we bring all the panels out, load up the tracks first, which brings the tracks down into a plumb condition. And once they're all preloaded, then we set up, lock all the panels in place and set the walls to right. From the design and construct process, these walls were supposed to have about 4 to 10 moves per year. Currently they're getting probably up to 4 moves a week to a fortnight, so they've had a lot more use than their original design construct intent was. Given the high level of wall moves that they've had to date since they've been in and operational, the maintenance in this maintenance period for the walls has been minimal. Minimal balancing, minimal breaking the panels and setting everything right to maintain their acoustics.
The panels, when joined, effectively prevent sound transmission. In this configuration, 2 side halls are able to operate independently. The movable walls passed rigorous acoustic testing, achieving a record sound filtration level of 60 dB, exceeding the very challenging targets of the theoretical design work.
These walls are rated to a 60 dB on site, which is the highest DW rating that we know of in the world to date.
The disassembly process is the same as the assembly, in reverse. Each panel is unlocked in turn to release the floor and ceiling seals. The free-moving panels are then moved back into the storage bays. It's been a mighty project for Hufcor Australia on many fronts.
The success of this project was always going to be in the track work, with the incredible amount of support steel required and the deflections that had to be calculated pre-installation was an incredible achievement by our engineers in consultation with the multiplex project managers. It's made for an outstanding installation that Hufcor across Australia can be proud of.
The sheer size of the installation was a challenge in itself. The heavy lift installation procedure was a significant and elegant engineering solution. We're more than happy to show it off to you here and say with great satisfaction, we did it.
There's no doubt that our involvement with the Melbourne Convention Centre will raise the profile of the Hufcor Group in Australia. This provides us with great confidence to go forward as a vibrant, developing business. It's been a privilege to work with our team to achieve outstanding results for our client Multiplex and the Plenary Group. I thank all those involved. You certainly have again shown we are a force to be reckoned with in the future.
Hufcor Management in Australia thanks every member of the team, here and in Janesville, for helping to make this outstanding project such a success.